Ever feel like you're doing all the right things and still wondering why your body feels off? You eat well, you train hard, your labs say you're fine, but deep down you know something's slipping. You're not alone and you're not crazy. I'm Daniel Rasmussen, founder of Echelon Center for Longevity, and I've spent 2 decades helping high performers like you to reverse aging, reignite vitality, and finally get answers. On Unbreakable Vitality, we go upstream. We talk peptides, stem cells, precision diagnostic testing, reversing the age of your arteries, all the innovative science-based tools to take back your health span so that your next decades are your best yet. Because aging is real, but decline is optional.
Hey there, everyone. So what if the real threat isn't cholesterol, but what happens to it when your body is inflamed? We've been sold the idea that LDL is the villain, that if your LDL is high, you're in danger. And if it's low, you're safe. But the truth is far more nuanced and far more urgent, because what turns cholesterol into a problem isn't its presence, isn't its number, it's transformation. It's what happens when oxidative stress collides with compromised arterial health, turning a once beneficial molecule into a biological time bomb. In today's episode of Unbreakable Vitality, we're diving deep into oxidized LDL, the silent driver of plaque formation, immune dysfunction, and vascular aging. This one biomarker could be the missing link between your normal labs and your rising health concerns. And it's one of the most overlooked biomarkers in conventional medicine. Today, I'm going to walk you through what oxidized LDL is, how it forms, why it's dangerous, and what you can do to reduce it. This isn't about fear, it's about precision. Let's get into it. So let's rewind for a moment. For decades, we've been taught that cholesterol, especially LDL, is the bad guy, that it clogs your arteries, causes heart attacks, and must be driven down at all costs. This mindset was born out of the cholesterol panic of the 1980s and 90s, when statins were introduced and LDL became public enemy number one. The food industry followed suit with low-fat everything, and suddenly an entire generation was trained to fear fat and cholesterol. But here's the truth. LDL is not the problem. LDL, low-density lipoprotein, is actually essential. It's the molecule of life. It's what your hormones are made out of. You need it. It's a carrier molecule. It transports energy and cholesterol and fat-soluble vitamins and hormones throughout the body to deliver it to the tissues that need it. You need it for cell membrane integrity, brain health, and healing. The real issue is not that LDL exists. The issue is what happens to it when your body is under oxidative stress, when it becomes oxidized LDL. Standard cholesterol testing doesn't differentiate. It just gives you a total LDL number, which is like looking at a city's population and assuming everyone's behaving the same. You could have a moderate LDL level, but if a significant percentage of that LDL is oxidized, you're at risk. On the flip side, someone with higher LDL but low oxidation is going to be much safer. Unfortunately, conventional labs don't test for this. Most doctors don't know how to ask. In the next segment, we are going to look at what oxidation actually is and how it turns a vital molecule into a vascular saboteur. So what is exactly oxidized LDL, and how does something helpful become harmful? Well, let's start with oxidation. Oxidation is a natural process. It happens when a molecule loses an electron, often due to exposure to a free radical, and unstable atoms generated by things like pollution, stress, processed foods, alcohol, high blood sugar, smoking, or even intense exercise without recovery. So when your body has more free radicals than it can neutralize with antioxidants, you enter a state called oxidative stress. Now, picture this. LDL is circulating through your bloodstream, doing its job, delivering cholesterol, vitamins, hormones where they're needed. When that LDL particle gets exposed to oxidative stress, it becomes damaged. Its structure changes and it's no longer recognizable as safe by your immune system. And that's where the real problem begins. Your immune system now gets involved and sees oxidized LDL as an invader. So white blood cells, specifically macrophages, rush in to clean it up. The macrophages engulf and literally eat the oxidized LDL. But in doing so, they become bloated and dysfunctional. They transform into what we call foam cells by visual representation, a key component of your arterial plaque. So these foam cells accumulate in the walls of your arteries, triggering more immune activation, more inflammation, and eventually the development of soft, unstable, dangerous plaque in its earliest stages of formation. This is the kind of plaque that doesn't just sit there, it ruptures. And that's what causes sudden heart attacks out of nowhere, strokes out of nowhere, mini strokes, silent strokes, and then vascular events in people who look just fine and their labs are just fine. Oxidized LDL is a trigger, a red flag, a canary in the coal mine. And unless you're testing for it, you're missing one of the most important early warning signs that your body can give you. And so I'm going to show you why almost no one is testing for this and what that oversight is costing us. Break down what makes oxidized LDL so dangerous to the arteries. We'll discuss immune response, macrophages, and foam cell formation. So why don't we hear more about this oxidized LDL? The short answer, it's not part of the standard panel. Most primary care physicians and even cardiologists still rely on total cholesterol, HDL, LDL, and triglycerides. These metrics give you a surface level snapshot, but they don't tell you anything about the particle's behavior, oxidative damage, or the immune response. In fact, standard labs assume that all LDL is created equal. It's the bad cholesterol. But as we now know, the danger lies not in the number, but in the state of the particle. Even advanced lipid panels that break down LDL particle size and number often skip over oxidation status. Why? Oxidized LDL isn't routinely reimbursed by insurance. It's considered a specialty marker. Despite the research, most clinicians haven't been trained in what it means or how to respond to it. But the science is clear. Elevated oxidized LDL is a strong predictor of cardiovascular events that more than total cholesterol, LDL, or even blood pressure. I've seen dozens of patients walk through our doors with picture-perfect lipid panels, only to discover that their oxidized LDL was off the charts. They were inflamed. Their arteries were vulnerable, and they had no idea. This is why relying on conventional labs is like trying to navigate with a 10-year-old map. The terrain has changed. The risks have evolved, and if you're not testing the right biomarkers, you're flying blind. I want to share how we use oxidized LDL as a clinical compass to personalize treatment and predict transformation. So let's look at this. Let's unpack this. So why most doctors aren't testing it? Let's talk about what we actually do with it. At the Echelon Center for Longevity, oxidized LDL is a foundational biomarker in our diagnostics. We don't just look at it in isolation, we correlate it with all the advanced diagnostics like the heart threat scan and at the Echelon, the cardiovascular panel, which tests for oxidative stress, endothelial inflammation, and vulnerable plaque activity. If someone comes in with elevated oxidized LDL, we dig deeper with the GI map stool testing to identify, gut-sourced oxidative stress, LPS, dysbiosis, leaky gut. Then we do the true age test to evaluate biological aging and methylation imbalances so we can get a baseline. Then we do the cortisol rhythm testing to see if chronic stress is depleting antioxidant reserves and fueling inflammation. I can think of a real example. The 51-year-old client came in feeling just a little tired, but wanted to optimize. His labs looked average, his cholesterol was fine, but his oxidized LDL was 3 times the optimal range. Then we ran the heart threat scan, found early soft plaque, GI map showed dysbiosis, low secretory IgA. You've heard this story before. His cortisol pattern was inverted, flatlining cortisol in the day, elevated cortisol at night. We built a custom plan personalized to him, IV ozone therapy to reduce oxidative stress, targeted antioxidants like NAC, glutathione, vitamin C, GI repair protocols with glutamine, marshmallow root, and targeted specific probiotics according to his GI map. Sleep and circadian rhythm coaching. So we had to get his sleep dialed in and his circadian rhythm reset and his hormones optimized. 6 months later, his oxidized LDL dropped by over 40%, trending lower day by day. His plaque stabilized. His mental clarity and energy returned. This is the kind of shift that we see when we stop guessing and we start testing. Test, not guess. So with data that actually matters. And when we reduce oxidized LDL, the entire vascular system gets much quieter, more stable, younger. Your vitality just soars. Now let's talk about how you can do this too. The oxidized LDL shapes your individual protocol. We tie in the advanced diagnostics like the heart rate scan, the echelon longevity panel, GI map, your salivary hormones, and we start to see a reversal after targeting the oxidation and the inflammation. That's why it matters. Now, let's talk about how we can bring it down. Here are the top contributors to elevated oxidized LDL. Diets that are high in refined carbohydrates, damaged fats like the seed oils and fried foods. And how many of you know or realize that the restaurant industry is ubiquitously using seed oils in all of their cooking ingredients? You have to be aware of this because you're getting hidden inflammatory triggers in your lifestyle. Chronic stress, mental, emotional stress, which increases your cortisol and depletes antioxidant reserves. Environmental toxins, the microplastics in our environment, on our clothes and our cooking ware and our everywhere in our house, in our kitchen. Heavy metals, mold exposure. We've got to look at gut permeability, otherwise known as leaky gut, which drives immune system activation and systemic inflammation. If you have a low intake of antioxidants, especially vitamins CoQ10, glutathione, precursors, here's what we recommend clinically to help reverse this. Remove those oxidizing triggers. Cut out processed foods and inflammatory oils. Get the healthy oils back in. Get rid of your Morton's table salt. It's toxic poison. Eliminate sodium-laden foods at the grocery store and processed foods. Start eating more mineral salt like pink Himalayan salt and Celtic sea salt, which has been shown to reduce blood pressure. Reduce high sugar meals and minimize alcohol consumption. Identify and heal your gut dysfunction using a GI map test, stool test. You also may want to supplement with NAC, liposomal glutathione, and vitamin C. Use CoQ10, especially for those of you on statins, which you may want to look into that for a little further. Increase your polyphenol-rich foods like the berries, your olive oil, and green tea. To repair the endothelial lining, we use compounds like arginine and citrulline to support nitric oxide production. Mapping your microbiome in your mouth. How many of you are using mouthwash and toxic toothpaste with fluoride, killing your microbiome, antiseptic that's killing your microbiome, your healthy microbiome in your mouth, leading to gut dysbiosis and reduced nitric oxide production? You've got to make changes. You got to be aware of these things. So you got to add more omega-3s to stabilize your plaque and reduce immune activation. But consider IV ozone therapy under clinical supervision. Very, very important. Optimize your sleep architecture. Prioritize deep sleep and cortisol rhythm balance. Add parasympathetic recovery, breath work, meditation, strategic movement. When these interventions are stacked and personalized, according to labs, we've seen clients drop their oxidized LDL by 30 to 60% within 6 to 12 months. Their vitality soars. But more importantly, we see the resolution of their fatigue, their cognition improves dramatically. They have stronger workouts. They're putting on muscle mass. They're burning fat mass in their body, and they're cleaner follow-up imaging on their heart rate scan. This isn't about chasing perfect numbers. It's about rebuilding your vascular resilience at the root level. And that all starts with testing what matters. So let's wrap up with your next best step. Lifestyle supplement protocols to reduce oxidation and how outcomes change when these markers addressed. So if you've never had your oxidized LDL tested, now's the time. This one marker could be silently driving your vascular aging, your energy crashes, your brain fog, and your long-term risk. Take the free vascular age quiz at echelon-longevity.com/quiz. And when you do, you'll learn how to take the next step in testing for the root causes of arterial inflammation, including oxidized LDL. Because it's not about chasing numbers. It's about building clarity, making precision moves, and giving your biology the chance to regenerate. Don't wait for symptoms. Don't rely on guesses. That's the old dinosaur way. Longevity comes from measuring what matters and build a stronger, younger, more resilient you. Next time, we're going to dig into inflammation, not just how it forms, but how to measure it across the brain, the gut, the arteries with cutting edge precision. I'll see you then.
If you're feeling like your energy, your edge, or your clarity just isn't what it used to be, you're not alone. But you're also not stuck. Every week on Unbreakable Vitality, we explore real strategies to reverse aging, reclaim vitality, and rewrite what's possible. If today's episode gave you even one insight, pass it on. Then go take the free vascular age quiz at echelon-longevity.com/quiz to see how your body's aging. Subscribe, leave a review, and follow us because your future isn't on autopilot. You are building it and you're just getting started.